Hi, this is Michelle. Welcome to the YMCA Virtual Studio. Today we're doing gentle yoga. Thank you so much for being here. I'm really happy to be here and do yoga with you. I wanted to just offer a couple of ideas. If you have a blanket, sometimes it's nice to have a blanket to use as a prop to kneel on or to use at the end when we do our resting. You may have a strap, and if you don't, that's okay. You probably have a towel. You can use the towel as well to help reach the foot, so we'll talk about that later. And a block is a nice prop to raise the floor. So if you have a block, that's great. If you don't, that's okay too, because everything we do can be modified. So let's get started. Today we're gonna start on our backs. So we're gonna go all the way down to the floor with the knees bent. The first part of the class we spend in just breathing, practicing our breath. It's called pranayama. Then we'll start to move, and then the very end of the class we'll spend relaxing and resting. So let's get the floor. Thanks a lot. We're on our backs, and our knees are bent. So this is a nice place to have the blanket or a pillow or the block for your head. We're just looking for as much comfort as we can. There's nothing wrong with that. We're remembering when we're here and any time we're on the mat that we're working or doing what we do within the body that we brought today. So every day it changes. But it's just reminding that when your body is saying, that's enough, it's enough. So let's take it that way. We'll promise each other, we'll honor each other, we'll honor our bodies. And we're gonna just settle in here. So, eyes closed, if you're comfortable with that. We're gonna use the inside eyes. Eyes closed, face relaxed. We're noticing the breath, we're not changing it, we're just noticing what it's doing. So one thing I know is true, that when we are on the mat and we're in a pose, an asana, after we're there for a few breaths, sometimes we feel like we need to adjust. The body kind of releases, the muscles release after a number of seconds. So when we feel like we need to make that adjustment, just we're making it. I want you to feel like you can make it. Don't wait for me to tell you that it's okay to move. If your shoulders feel like they need to move your shoulders or your head. Let's sigh it out. If you want to, you could place your one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. And we're just breathing in and noticing the way the body receives the breath. So when we breathe in, what we would like to happen is we would like the belly to move. And sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we're breathing so high up in the chest that the belly doesn't even budge. But that's okay once we know that that's what we do, then we change it. So we want to take the breath super slow, in through the nose, out through the nose, breathing all the way down into the belly. Belly moves first. Once you know how it feels, you can take those hands back down at your sides. Palms can be up or down. We want to expand through the whole core as we breathe in. We also, not just the belly, but we want to feel the back moving as well. So we're filling ourselves with breath. The front, the back, and the two sides, left and right. think of a balloon when you breathe in. You want the whole thing to expand. Although we're laying on our backs, we should still feel the breath in the back. Let's bring both knees into the chest as we exhale. Hands to knees, knees to chest. Maybe readjust the low back. We're going to move on the exhalation here. Let's take that left leg long on the mat. We'll keep the right knee in. So exhale, extend your left leg long. We're going to point the left heel, flex that left foot. Starting to feel the front of that hip. We're breathing into the front of that hip. Next exhalation, we're going to take that left knee back in. Breathe in. Exhale, right leg long on the mat. So we're pointing the left heel, flexing that, we're pointing the right heel this time, flexing the right foot. Breathing into the front of the right hip. Let's move again. Exhale, right leg in, left leg out. Inhale, hold it here. Exhale and move again. Left knee in, right leg out. Pointing that right heel. Breathe into the hip, stay here. Let's do that once more on both sides. So we'll exhale, right knee in, left leg out. Breathe in, hold. Exhale, move. Now we're going to bring both knees in. So the right knee comes back in. We're going to lift the shoulders and the head. So we're going to bring the nose towards the knees towards the nose as we exhale. Nice long back body. We don't have to touch our nose to our knees. We're just coming into a little ball here. We're lengthening the back body. Then we'll release the shoulders and the head back down. We're going to take the feet to the floor with the knees bent. And we'll take our hands down at our sides with our palms facing down. We're going to find the breath. We're going to press our hands down onto the mat, press our feet into the mat. We're going to peel those hips up off of the mat as we exhale. We're going to peel those hips up. Lifting the hips towards the sky. Chest is open. Back body is toning. And then we're going to come up to our tippy toes, lifting the heels. Walk your feet in just a little bit. Reach your arms back. And lower your hips towards the floor. Let's take those heels down. Hands down at our sides. I'm going to offer the blanket or the pillow to be moved out of the way. We're going to do that again without the pillow, without the blanket. If you have it and you like it, that's okay. We're going to press the hands into the mat, lift the hips. Lift the heels, reach the arms back. Slowly lower the hips towards the heels. One vertebra at a time, we're moving back down to the floor. When we reach the floor, the heels come back down and so do the hands. Let's do that once more. This time we're going to stay up. So press your hands down at your sides. Exhale, press your hips up. We're going to walk the shoulders in just a little towards the heels. We're reaching for our shins. We're going to stay here and breathe. We're going to lift those heels back up. Reach those arms back. And lower the hips back down. So one vertebra at a time. Oh, feels so good. Heels come back down to the floor. Let's take the knees into the chest again. Hands to knees, knees to chest. Shoulders up, head up, nose to knees. Shoulders and head come back down. Feet come back down. Knees are still bent. We're going to take that right heel, place it on the left thigh, and we're going to press that right knee away from us. So we're opening up the right hip here. We want to breathe into the hip socket. So think about the hip socket. Think about the femur bone. It's that big ball joint that's in the hip. When we breathe in, we want to irrigate that socket. So you may be good here. You may be saying, yeah, this is a good stretch. I feel it. I feel like I'm irrigating. I'm good. If this doesn't feel good, you want to stop. If you want more, you can always lift your left foot up. Reach behind that left leg, interlacing the fingers. We're pressing that right knee away. We're bringing that left knee in. Each exhalation takes us a little tiny bit deeper. So we exhale and we feel that right knee pressing away, the left knee coming in. When we inhale, we want to create some space in that hip socket. So for somebody that sits a lot, or if you're in the car for a long time, and you might start to feel like you're getting a little bit stiff and cramped up, this is a good place to go. Even in the car, you can kind of take that right foot to your thigh and press it away. It works wonders. Let's take both knees in, so we're going to unwind those legs. Take both knees in, hands to knees, knees to chest, head and shoulders off the ground, nose to knees. Exhaling, release. Inhale, let's take those feet down, switch sides. So left foot, right thigh. We're going to press that left knee away. Breathing into the left hip. We're thinking about that hip socket. We're thinking about irrigating that socket so it makes it easier to move. And then we're deciding, do we want to stay? Do we want to stop? Or do we want to go further? So if you want to go farther, you can reach that foot, the right foot off the floor, reach behind that left leg, bring it in closer to the body. So the exhalation is going to help with this. So exhaling, we bring that knee closer, we press the left knee away. We breathe in on the inhale, we breathe into that hip socket. Beautiful, one more good breath here. So full breath in, all the way into that hip, feeling that resistance, creating space in there. Next exhale, we bring both knees into our chest. We're going to unwind the legs, bring it in. Shoulders and head up. Feet down, knees bent. So I'm going to get to the hamstrings here before we get up, and we're going to stay here on the floor for a few more minutes. This is a good place to have your belt or your towel, and if you don't have either, that's okay too. Left knee is going to stay on the floor. Right now the knee is bent. Left foot is going to stay on the floor. Right now the knee is bent. Right leg goes up. I'm going to have you point your right heel and open your right toes. Then we're going to reach for our shin. We want to point the toes towards the nose. We want to open up the back of the leg without locking it up so we get a nice stretch for that hamstring. Let's point and flex the foot while we're here. We'll just wake up those feet and rotate that ankle. Reverse. So we're reaching for the shin or the ankle. We're using the towel or strap. If we can't get to the toes, that's okay. We want to keep those arms nice and long. We want to keep that wrist neutral, which means the wrist is straight. And then we're going to extend the left leg on the mat. So that takes some of the if you were closer to your nose before you stretched that left leg out, that's pretty common. We lose a little bit of our flexibility when we change the position of the leg to a straight leg. Each breath, though, I want you to breathe into the back of this leg. I want you to create space in that hamstring. With each exhalation, we're going to come a little tiny bit closer to the face. Just a little. It doesn't have to be a lot. One more good breath here. And then we're going to bring that left knee back to the bend. Take the belt or the towel away or the hand away. Bring both knees into the chest. So that right leg is already starting to feel a lot different than the left. We're going to take the right foot to the floor and switch sides. So left leg up. We're reaching for the shin. We're going to point and flex the foot, wiggle the toes. Point the heel. Feeling that stretch. You want to open up the back of that knee without locking it out. We're going to rotate the ankle. Reversing direction. And then we're going to take this a little bit deeper, so the strap, the towel, or if you can reach a little bit lower towards the ankle, that's going to give you more stretch. We want to bring that left foot towards the face. We're going to take the right leg long, so extend that right leg on the mat. Oh yes, a nice stretch for the back of that left leg from the hip all the way down to the heel. We want to breathe into that resistance. So where you feel the most stretching, you're going to breathe into that space. The exhalation takes it deeper. So each exhalation, we bring that leg a little bit closer to the face. Remember, we're not going to lock those knees out though. We want to protect our knees. One more good breath here. Big exhale, press that heel towards the ceiling, bring those toes towards the nose, and we release. Hands to knees, knees to chest. Let's rock side to side here. So we're going to take it over onto all fours. So I'm going to have you roll over onto one side. That's a safe way to come out of this. Use your top hand, press the floor away. The blanket can be used. We're not going to stay here long, but I'd like to do a couple spinal waves because spinal waves are so good for the spine. And if the spine stays flexible, I think we reverse our aging process some. So spinal waves is one of those things that will do it. Knees are on the blanket or on the mat, your choice. Hands are on the mat. Fingers are spread wide. And the hands are just a little bit forward of the shoulders. In fact, this blanket's a little too high for me here. We just want a padding for the knees. Spinal waves, we start at the bottom. We start at the base of the spine, always. And then we move up. So as you exhale, you're going to take your belly button in, draw your tailbone forward. You're starting to move. You're going to roll all the way up into a cat back stretch. Inhaling, we slide the hips back, the belly down, and the chest forward. We're going into our extension. We're looking for length in the spine, but we're doing it one vertebra at a time. So exhaling, you're going into flexion. Remember, we're starting at the bottom and going up. In both flexion and extension, we start at the base. So extension, hips back, belly down, chest forward. The head moves last. Exhaling, you're going at your own perfect pace here. I'm not going to tell you what your breath should be doing. You're moving with your breath, whatever that is. The flexion, cat back, that's the exhalation piece of the breath. The extension, the cow pose, that's the inhalation piece of the breath. When we go into extension, we want to focus on the back, upper back, that space behind the heart. We want to try to release that space. The spine gets sometimes locked up there. We're finding those spaces as we move in and out of spinal waves, flexion, extension, cat-cow, whatever you want to call it. It gives us an opportunity to look at our spines. and find those places that may be a little bit sticky or a little bit loose. You can have a sticky spot in one spot and a loose spot in the other. That is not uncommon. But knowing that knowledge that you gain from closing your eyes and breathing and moving and looking at the inside, the knowledge that you gain from that is invaluable. It helps to know what needs love and what needs time and what needs space and what needs attention. If you're going into flexion, you're feeling the low back should be the focus. Want to verticalize the pelvis. I like to spend time in everything on the mat because there's so much to learn when we go slowly. It's like taking a road trip. If you go slowly, you can see things. Let's go from one more. We'll do one more. One more inhale, extension, exhale, flexion. And then we're going to sit back in child's pose. We're sitting back onto our heels, reaching our hands forward, letting the head rest, finding the breath. And let's take those palms. We'll drag the palms down the mat. We're going to come to our knees. We're going to remove this blanket if you have one. We're going to start moving off of the mat. So we're going up into our standing. Oh, we'll start with child's pose though, because that's one of the best transition poses we can do, especially if we're going to go to downward dog. Child's pose, when we extend the arms and reach the fingers and we press the hips back, this is like the perfect place for downward dog to happen. So inhaling up off of the heels, we're going to leave our hands right where they are. We're going to tuck the toes under and press the hips up. We're going to keep a bend in those knees because I want you to really take the hamstrings out of the picture. If you feel the back of the legs, then bend the knees. Paddle those heels and sway the hips. I want you to find your spine. We're on a safari here. We're looking for the spine. So we find the spine and then we find length. That's the goal. So we're using the hands, pressing the heels of the hands into the mat, pressing those hips high, pulling the belly in or hollowing out the pit of the belly, opening up the back of the legs. We're going to sit our hips up where the ceiling meets the wall and let the head go. And then we're going to walk our feet to our hands, exhaling as we go. Big bend in the knees. We're resting the belly down on the thighs, protecting that low back. Halfway lift, hands to the shins or the thighs. Fold forward. One more time, halfway lift. The spine is parallel with the floor. Eyes are down. Fold forward. Let's reverse swan dive. Come up, press your feet down, drop your hips. Breathe in, reach up, open up, heart to heaven. Swan dive, forward fold. Halfway lift. Inhaling, exhale, fold forward, hands to the floor. We'll step that right leg back. We're going to take a giant step back with the right foot, and we're going to take that right knee down to the floor. The top of that right foot goes down as well. But make sure that the front knee is over the ankle. We don't want to be here. We want to be here. It's okay if your knee is in. It's okay. If you can take it back, it's going to give you more stretching for the hip flexor, the front of that right hip. But sometimes the hips aren't ready for that far back leg. If it is ready, go for it. If it feels good. Hands on the floor, you already start to feel the front of that right hip. We did it when we were on our backs at the beginning. We extended the leg long and we had the knee into our chest. This is just a little more of the same. When we come up higher, we get even more. So it's a slow thing. We decide where we want to be. You can use your block. You can use your leg. But when you do come up, I want you to make sure that you think about your core. We want to be sturdy through the core. We don't want to dump into the low back. We want to be nice and tall. Full breath in. Nice stretch for that hip flexor. Hands to the floor. Let's tuck those back toes under. Lift off of that back knee. We're going to step the left foot back, downward dog. And walk your feet to your hands. Halfway lift. Fold forward. Left foot steps back, giant step, same thing. Back knee down, top of the foot down. So let's stay here, resting the chest, feeling the front of that hip, or come back up a little bit higher for a little bit more. We want to engage the core, lift through the crown of the head, breathe into the front of that hip. So these hip flexors, these little muscles at the front of the hip, when we sit a lot, they shorten. So if this feels like a lot, it just means that it's probably from whatever job you have. You know, you've been sitting, maybe you sit a lot, and the hip flexor muscle gets shorter. So coming into a place like this, it's kind of foreign, but we're working on it, right? Every day is new. Let's tuck those toes, lift off, step the right foot back, down dog. Let's walk the feet to the hands, exhaling as we go. Drop the hips, reverse swan dive up, hands to heart. So I'm going to have you come to the top of your mat. I want to we've done the front of the hips, I want to do the hamstrings again. So we're going to take the feet parallel. This is called pyramid. We want to do a small step back. So maybe step the right foot back so that both heels are down and both feet are pointing forward. We want to square those hips. So with the right foot back, the right hip wants to come forward. We're going to keep the right hip forward, the left hip back. We're going to get tall through the spine, open the chest. And I'm going to have you, actually, let's reach high. And then we're going to pull everything into the core. We're going to reach forward. Exhaling as we go. We're not going too far. Bend your front knee, come back up. Inhale. Let's do that again. Straighten the front leg. Reach forward. Right hip forward, left hip back. Bring those arms really long, like you want them. Hand me something in the screen. Bend the front knee, come up. Inhale, heart to heaven. Let's do that again. Last one. This time we're going to go a little deeper. So we're going to exhale, reach forward. We're going to bring the hands down to our quadricep, the top of the thigh. That exhalation is going to take us even lower. So our spine is nice and long. I'm not hunching my back. I'm thinking about keeping my spine long. Shining the crown of the head forward. Exhale, we're going to bring the bellies down a little bit lower towards that leg. The movement is coming from the hip, not the spine. Lower we go with those hands. Each exhalation takes us lower. When you feel like you can't go lower, let the head go. Melt into it. Allow yourself to melt. Exhaling. Let's bend that front knee again. We're going to come back up. Press into the feet. Press your feet into the floor. Pull your belly in. We're
walk it back up super slow. Hands go to the quads. Spine is long. Come all the way up.
Beautiful. Let's step it in. That's side one. Let's do side two. So feet are parallel. It's a small step back. Both legs are straight. Both feet are pointing forward. Left foot is back, so left hip, we're going to think about the left hip moving forward when we move, and the right hip moving back. Let's reach up. Pivot forward, coming from the hip. Nice long spine. Feel the back of that leg. Bend your front knee. Take that stretch away and come back up. Let's do that again. Reach up, inhale. Straighten the front leg, reach forward. We're reaching so far forward that we can't reach any more forward. Super long. Feel the front leg. Bend the knee, come up. And then the last one, we go deep. So this is for the money. Straighten your front leg. Reach it forward. Hands lower. Both legs straight. Each exhalation takes the belly down a little closer to the front leg. The spine is long. We don't let it go until we can't go any lower. And everyone is different. So wherever you are, if you feel like you can't go any lower, let the head go. Let yourself melt. And then breathe into the resistance that you feel. Let the head go. Let the breath ease those muscles. Inhaling, creating space. Exhaling, going deeper. Let's bend that front knee. Pull everything in. We're going to come up slowly, so we'll walk our hands back up. And then we're going to press into the feet and come all the way up. Step it in. Beautiful. So we've got a couple more standing poses I'd like to do. We're going to do Warrior 1, Warrior 2, and Warrior 3. So Warrior 1, I'm going to face you, but you're going to be at the top of your mat on the long side. We start with our feet parallel. When we step the right foot back, it's kind of a big step. Yeah, I do have to show you. So when we step the right foot back, it's kind of a big step. The heels go down. Your right toes are pointing at the upper right corner of the mat. And then you notice I'm walking my left foot forward. I'm trying to find just a little more space because once I landed, I realized I could go a little more. So we're pressing into the outside border of that back foot. We're going to square those hips to the front. That's why it's important, instead of having that right foot pointed to the side, we want the toes pointed more towards the top of the mat. We sink into that front leg. So now pressing, turning, square, lifting, reach up. So we want to reach those fingers, light it up, allow the shoulders to come down away from the ears. Pressing into those feet. Each breath maybe takes you a different place, a little deeper, a little lower, a little more open. Warrior 1, super powerful. Completely focused on the front. Finding that breath, pressing into the feet. Heart to heaven. From here, we're going to take it to Warrior 2. So the front foot stays, the arms go out, and the back foot turns. So we want to turn that back foot now towards the side of the mat. The thing I said that we didn't want to do when we were in Warrior 1 is what we want to do in Warrior 2. And the reason is we want those toes to be pointed in the same direction that we want the hips. So those toes pointed to the side, the hips are now on the side. And of course, we'll light up those fingers. So sink low, we want that upper thigh to find its way lower, but we still want to maintain that nice contact with the floor. Find the breath, lifting through the crown of the head. I'm going to have you glance down at that left knee. The left knee likes to travel to the center. We want to keep that knee traveling in line with the foot, right? So we don't want it to cave in. Let me show you straight on what that looks like. We're in Warrior 2. The knee sometimes wants to do this. That's a big exaggeration, but even a little, we want to keep that knee nice and straight. Good, beautiful. Come on out, super slow. We're going to do that again on the other side, and then we'll go for Warrior 3. That'll be our balance pose. So feet are parallel. Left foot steps back. Toes are pointing 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock for the back foot. You want to sink down into that front leg. Press into the outside border of the back foot. Reach high. Remember to breathe. So we're reaching those fingertips up, opening the heart. We want to keep those shoulders back and down. Do the best we can do with what we have, right? Pressing into the outside border of that back foot. See if you can find a little more space. Like maybe walk or tiptoe your front foot forward just a little bit. And see how that feels. And then sink into that front leg. We're going to transition to Warrior 2. So the front foot is going to stay put, arms out, back foot turns. And then you kind of make your adjustments if you need them. We're going to check that front knee. We don't want it to cave in. Check the shoulders, light up the fingers, find the breath. Let's parallel those feet to come out. I didn't do that the last time because I left without you. So we're going to toe heel those feet in. And find an exhale. Warrior 3 is our balance pose. Let's start at the top of the mat. Feet are parallel. Do the arms just yet. Let's just take that right foot back. Toes around the floor. So eventually that right foot's coming up, right? We'll pivot forward at the hip. We're going to really need to grow roots out of that left foot. We're going to lift it up and then reach it forward. We want to point those toes at the floor. A little higher. One more breath. Release. Right foot meets the left. Come up. Big exhale. Feet are parallel. Left foot back. Toes are down. We're going to give a little bend in that front leg so that knee is soft. It helps to stabilize. We're going to lift that left foot up. Point those toes at the floor. Spinning the pinky toe towards the floor helps to level the hips. You can reach your arms forward That's traditional warrior 3, or you can reach them back for a balancing airplane. Whatever you like is fine. Remembering the breath. So you're holding, but you're not holding the breath. You're holding the leg up, you're holding your arms up, you're holding your chest open, but you're not holding your breath. Let's release and walk it off. I wasn't gonna do tree, but I kind of feel like we need it, or I need it, so let's do a tree here. Feet are parallel, growing roots out of the bottom. Right heel in. You could keep it on the floor, or take it above or below the knee. You can keep your hands center or reach. Open, look up, heart up, whatever you like. It's like a trip. You can choose where to stop. I guess the idea is to find some sort of peace here. Can we get out of the mind, the thinking brain, into the breath, relaxing the face, relaxing the body, relaxing the breath, and just find stability. Let's walk it off. And then we do the other side. Left heel, right shin. You could stay or you can lift. You could stay or you could reach. You could stay or you could open. Just breathe. One more good breath, nice and slow. And walk it off. Perfect. And we're going to go back down to the floor, but we're going to take downward dog to get there. So we come back to the top of the mat again. Reach up, inhale. Swan dive, forward fold, exhale. Bend the knees deeply so the belly rests on the thighs. Hands are on the mat, step both feet back, hips up. Lose the head. Let's find the best downward dog of the day. So pressing those hips up where the ceiling meets the wall. Pressing the heels of the hands into the mat so that the spine looks like a playground slide. Think about the pelvis, the hips. Those are heavy bones. Use those heavy bones to give you traction, to press them up where the ceiling meets the wall, and press the hands into the floor. That's going to allow your spine to open up and lengthen, and that's what we're looking for. So from downward facing dog, take a slow breath in. Exhale out the mouth. Take those knees to the floor. Sit back, child's pose. Reaching your hands forward. Your chest is on your thighs. Let's come to all fours. We won't stay here long. Kind of open up just a little bit. We're going to twist just a little bit. Open up a little bit. A little of everything. So we're on all fours. You're going to take your right arm out. So press that left hand down into the mat. Then slide your right hand under the left arm. You're going to bring that right shoulder to the floor. Bend that left elbow. Let the head rest. Then you can sit back if you want onto your heels. Reach your left arm forward. Wherever you want to stop here is fine. The main idea would be to make sure the neck feels okay and the head is resting and that you're just feeling a nice opening in the shoulder. If you feel resistance, you'll breathe into it. So it's a bit of a twist.
We're going to unthread that right hand from under the left. Come back to all fours. Maybe give yourself a spinal wave. Cat-cow, so flexion, extension. Back to a neutral spine. Left arm goes out. Press your right hand into the mat. Thread your left hand under. Bend that right elbow. Bring your shoulder down, your head down. You could stay here or you could sit back. Finding a nice breath. We're gonna unthread that left hand from the right. Reach your arms forward. Bring yourself forward. Bring yourself all the way to the floor. We're going into some little mini cobras here. Pulling the belly button into our spines. We're gonna have our hands just around the area of the ribs. Your elbows tucked in at your sides. Lift up just a little bit. Belly button is pulled in, so we're protecting that low back. Our eyes are looking down on the floor in front of us. The crown of the head is reaching away. So the back of the neck is long. Remember to breathe. Let's take those arms, reach them forward like you're a superhero flying through the air. Your feet are on the floor, your hips are on the floor. Take your hands back. Lift the chest up a little higher. Remember to breathe. It's super important. The most important piece is the breath. Take those hands back down by the ribs. Next exhale, push off. So push up, push back. We're going to come to seated for a small twist. So your feet are going to be on one side. We're sitting up tall. So if your feet are on the right side, your left hand is back behind your left hip, and your right hand is on your left thigh. So we want to get long through the spine, and then turn towards the right, look over the right shoulder. Relaxing those shoulders. Without turning your shoulders, you can look over your left shoulder now. Find your breath. Let's bring it to the center and switch sides. So feet on the left, right hand back, left hand goes to the outside of the right. You want to lower that left shoulder. Twist towards the left. Stay here, or you could turn your head and look over your right shoulder. And breathe in. Slow exhale, deflate. Back to the center. Let's take our feet forward. So we're going to go all the way down onto our backs, but let's just get a little bit of core here. Chest in, hands are behind the legs. We're going to pull the chest in, a little extension, and then pull the belly button in, a little flexion. Let's do that a couple more times. So extension and flexion. One more. And all the way down we go. So one vertebra at a time. This is a place where we're going to finally relax. And if you want to place the pillow or the blanket under your head, or even the block. Block sometimes makes a great pillow. We're going into Shavasana, our final relaxation. And then we're going to extend those legs. Feel comfortable, you can cover up with the blanket, or you can use the blanket as a pillow, or you don't have to use anything. You're to just be on the mat, flat on the mat, allowing your body to just sink into the floor. Shavasana is sometimes called corpse pose because there is no movement. It's still. It's rest. And we usually don't fall asleep here. So because it's still and quiet and there's no sleep involved, it allows the body to integrate the yoga that just happened. It allows the brain and the body to connect in such a way that the brain is rehearsing what had just happened, making the asanas or the poses a little more familiar and easier to do over time. Releasing the thoughts. It's almost like cleaning out a filing drawer. Releasing the thoughts, quieting the mind, allows the brain to reorganize. And then all of a sudden, when you least expect it, everything becomes clearer. So we're going to settle in, allow the body to become one with the floor. We're going to release the muscles of the face. In fact, any muscle that you feel like you might be holding, the hands, the feet can flop open, the eyes are relaxed, the face is relaxed, the body dissolves, and the breath just settles. Recognizing the breath. Wiggling the toes and fingers. You'll bend one knee at a time and roll over to one side. Use your top hand pressing the floor away to come back to seated. Remember that Shavasana is usually longer. Yourself time in Shavasana. If you don't do any other yoga, Shavasana might be the best plan for the day. Just being quiet sometimes makes the world of difference. Allowing the body to release. The yoga is great, but Shavasana is yoga also. So spend some time in Shavasana, especially if you're super busy and you have a lot going on. Just quieting the body, quieting the mind, tuning in. Tuning into the breath. Allow the magic to happen. Let's take a good breath together. Reach up. Hands float down to our hearts. We're going to bow to our hearts in gratitude for everything in our lives. Everything. And now Namaste means I honor you and I thank you for joining me. Have a great day.